Picture this. Brene Brown standing in front of a room full of strangers, sharing her story about vulnerability, not weakness but courage. There's a crack in the armor she's worn for years, and she's daring to let it show. But what if that crack is exactly the place where connection starts? What if embracing your flaws isn't just personal therapy, but the secret sauce to thriving in love, work, and life? That's the open loop Brown drops in Daring Greatly. Will you dare to show up and be seen? Most of us think vulnerability is about weakness or exposure to harm. But Bren flips that script. What if it's actually the root of courage? This section shatters the myth and rewires your instincts. In Houston, Brene Brown recalls the time her father told her a story about their family's struggles, bank trouble, personal failures, but with a smile that said, "We get through because we're honest about where we hurt." That moment wasn't just a lesson, it was a spark. Vulnerability wasn't a flaw, it was the soil where courage roots. Just as her dad's admission pulled the family closer, it sparked a question. What if everyone dared that much? Think of vulnerability like standing naked in a rainstorm, except it's not about getting soaked and shivering, but about feeling the rain on your skin, real and raw. It's not hiding under the umbrella of perfection or armor. This exposure is messy, unpredictable, yet honest, like a high-wire act without a net, where every breath counts but the performer is fully alive. The payoff: when you dare to be seen, imperfections and all, you unlock a secret: connection. This daring act leads to empathy, creativity, and resilience. Bren proves that instead of vulnerability tearing us down, it's the foundation of what she calls wholehearted living. The cracks aren't weaknesses, they're openings where light sneaks through. Shame creeps into your psyche like static on an old radio, distorting your self-worth without alarm bells. Bren calls it the silent epidemic that fuels disconnection. Let's decode how shame works and how to fight back. Liz was an artist in New York, talented but haunted. Every brushstroke was shadowed by doubt, a quiet voice whispering, "You're not enough." That voice wasn't external critique. It was internalized shame, turning her passion into a cage. Bren's research shows millions experience this silent thief, how shame muffles voices before they can roar. But what if Liz could flip the switch? Picture shame and guilt as two similar twins, but only one destroys. Shame attacks your core self, "I am bad," while guilt targets actions, "I did a bad thing." This split matters because guilt can motivate change, while shame locks you in self-loathing, a trap that Brennan says we must escape to thrive. Empathy enters like a hero, breaking down shame's fortress. When someone listens without judgment, recognizing our feelings without blaming, shame loses its grip. Brown studies show that empathy rewires our brain, turning shame triggers into opportunities for growth and connection. Who knew the cure was as simple and as hard as kindness? Daring greatly isn't just about courage. It's a manifesto for living a life that's vibrant, messy, and deeply satisfying. Bren lays out a blueprint for wholehearted living. Let's unpack its core. Bren shares a story about a dinner party where everyone boasted about their perfect lives. She confesses to feeling like an imposter, until she decided to ditch those shoulds and embrace what is. This shift wasn't just relief, it was liberation. The freedom to be imperfect created space for authentic joy, not the manuscript of success dictated by society. Imagine your worthiness as a muscle you can train. Bren compares it to tending a garden. You water your self-compassion, pull out weeds of self-doubt, and harvest confidence bit by bit. Worthiness isn't static. It's the daily choice to treat yourself like someone worthy of love, respect, and belonging. Life hands you setbacks like curveballs. Bren reframes resilience as building a shame-resistance muscle, responding to failure with curiosity instead of collapse. She tells how parents modeling vulnerability help kids develop the same grit. The transformation: setbacks become stepping stones in the fearless pursuit of growth. We usually picture leaders as armor-clad, commanding, and flawless. Brene dares to challenge that, proving vulnerability actually makes better leaders. Here, S. How laying your cards on the table transforms business and culture. At Alcoa, CEO Paul O'Neill shocked Wall Street by making employee safety his top priority, sharing open, vulnerable data about accidents, even when numbers were grim. This transparency wasn't a weakness. It was a strategic move that dismantled fear, sparked trust, and boosted productivity. Brene tells it as a case study of daring greatly inside the corporate jungle, where vulnerability rewired what leadership looks like. Think of vulnerability in leadership like an open campfire circle. When leaders share doubts and fears, innovation doesn't hide, it gathers around the warmth, lighting ideas and risk-taking. Trust spreads like sparks, making teams feel safe to fail fast and learn faster. Brene calls this wholehearted leadership, where openness builds stronger organizations. The unexpected payoff. Leaders willing to be human, imperfect, uncertain, authentic, create cultures where employees thrive, loyalty deepens, and mission alignment skyrockets. Vulnerability becomes the secret weapon that turns hierarchy into humanity, igniting passion over obligation. Parenting is a battlefield for shame and vulnerability. Brene argues the courage to show up imperfectly is the greatest gift you can give your kids. Here, why daring greatly begins at home. Brene tells of a mother in Atlanta who admitted to her kids she didn't have all the answers, often none at all. This was revolutionary. Instead of the perfect parent myth, her honesty modeled strength through vulnerability. Her children grew up feeling safer to express fear, doubt, and hope, rewriting their family's code of emotional survival and starting lifelong dialogues about courage. In one experiment Brene points to, kids who were allowed to fail and fall down without judgment developed stronger problem-solving skills and less anxiety. The lesson: shielding kids from failures in the name of protection actually breeds shame and fear, not confidence and grit. Daring greatly as a parent means redefining what success really looks like. Ultimately, Brene highlights how self-compassion fuels compassionate parenting. When you forgive yourself for missteps and own mistakes, you give your child permission to do the same. This synergy blossoms into families rooted in empathy, not perfectionism, a radical act of love in a world obsessed with achievement. Remember that room Brene stood in, the one where she dared to be seen, cracks and all. Vulnerability isn't just some mushy feel-good concept, it's the foundation for courage, connection, and transformation. By shifting how you view your imperfections from curses to invitations, you rewrite your relationships, your work, and your very sense of self. So here's your challenge. Tomorrow, share one small, honest truth about yourself. Let the cracks show a little. Observe what happens. You might just find a surprising new strength waiting underneath. Subscribe for more book summaries like this one.